Welcome to the Upgrade Cycle, the podcast where we explore the latest and the greatest in tech with a focus on the devices that shape our lives. We are your hosts, Steve and Jovany, and today we're diving deep into the all-new Pixel 9 Pro XL, Google's latest flagship phone, which promises to be a game changer. And we're here to break down everything from its cutting-edge camera to its new powerful processor. And we're both excited to share our first-hand experience with this device. In this episode, we're discussing our initial impressions, our favorite features, and any areas where the Pixel 9 Pro XL could improve, and what this release means for the smartphone landscape as a whole. So, Jovany, tell me, what were your first thoughts when you unboxed the Pixel 9 Pro XL? I mean, I was with you in the car when you picked it up, being as though you came strictly from being an iPhone user and you traded in your iPhone 15 Pro Max to jump over to the green side.
Honestly, when I first opened the box and I saw the phone, my first thought was, "Holy crap! This feels a whole bunch more different, much lighter, bigger. It felt sleeker, and it just felt like a whole new entity for me." I mean, I came from iPhone. I've had it since I would have to say iPhone 6 Plus. So I've had it. I've had iPhone for a long time. So when I did the switch from iPhone to Android, obviously with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it was really fun. I won't lie to you. I think I spent the first couple days customizing everything possible and looking at everything I can do because it was such a creative piece of machine compared to the iPhone.
I remember you were sending me all these pictures and screenshots and just texting me about it because you were so excited about the customizability that, iPhone just doesn't allow you to have or didn't allow you to have prior to iOS 18, which hasn't fully released yet. So it was just funny seeing like all these things that you were discovering. It was like a child in Christmas, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, that's what I feel like. Even to this day, man, every single day I'm finding something new I can do with this phone because, like you said, iPhone, it's so closed. They strict you so much of what you can do and cannot do with that phone. It's either their way or no way. So when I came into this open system where I can put a different launcher in and customize my icons and wallpapers and do all these special effects and having like a live wallpaper, it was a game changer. I was nonstop, I kid you not, for like 2, 3 days, just looking at what I could and could not do. I think it was the best thing ever. I remember I was starting to annoy my spouse with it. It was just all day long, but it was so much fun.
I know you put a launcher on it like immediately, which I didn't even walk you through how to do. You just did it. You're like, hey, I'm using the Nova launcher now. I'm like, God damn, already, Jesus.
It's the beauty of technology. I can look it up, and I was on it. I wasn't gonna do anything else though. I still use the Nova launcher. I like it. A couple bugs, but I do prefer honestly the Pixel launcher, the one it comes with.
Okay.
Yeah, but coming from me to you. I know you came from the Pixel 8 Pro. Did the Pixel Pro XL feel like a significant upgrade or more of a quality of life improvement?
I think it was a little both, honestly. Coming from the Pixel 8 Pro, that was supposed to be Google's like first step into the AI space. And I mean, you've known me for a while. You know I'm all about the AI and what it can do and how it can help life and stuff like that from your day to day. So for me, I mean, the 9 Pro XL just took the AI features that Google really, handed us with the 8 Pro and like made huge jumps forward. I mean, they gave us 16 gigabytes of RAM, which was like unheard of on most smartphones. The Pixel 8 Pro, I want to say, only had 12, so we got an extra 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is crazy when it comes to artificial intelligence. And for me, I mean, it's just snappier. Like using Gemini on my 8 Pro compared to my 9 Pro, it's a world of a difference. I mean, it just feels faster. Everything I do on this phone just feels faster, and it's the RAM being increased. I can tell you that 100% it's the RAM being increased, as well as partially with the new Tensor chip, but we'll get into that in a little bit later. So for me, I mean, it was a quality of life improvement, but it still felt like a significant upgrade, especially when you take a look at the cameras too. The cameras were game changer as well. What stood out to you most about the phone's design and build quality? Anything in particular?
Honestly, it had to be the fact, as you know, because we play video games. When I'm huge on how smooth it runs, how good it does under stress, all these different types of things. So one of the things I really like about the build of this phone design is like how you said the 16 gigs of RAM, the 122 hertz refresh rate. iPhone doesn't have that, and they still don't have it. It's one of those things. It's a much smoother phone, much faster, and the actual physical feel for me just feels much better. Because obviously, as you know, we sometimes take our cases off. We put our phone on a table or whatnot. Like with the iPhone, if I put the phone on the table and if I wanted to use it on the table, that thing's rocking back and forth more like a boat. Because the camera's on one side and it's massive. At least with the 9 Pro XL, the camera is consistently on the top. Yes, it's still sticking out, but at least when I touch my phone, it isn't rocking and making that clanking sound, hitting on, rocking on the table and whatnot, which is a huge plus for me because I do that sometimes.
So I don't know if you've looked too much into the 8 Pro, 7 Pro era, or even the 6 Pro era of Pixels. What do you think of the new pill versus the visor that was on the previous?
Honestly, I think I like the pill a lot better because, honestly, personally, for me, one of the things that kind of, threw me off a little bit with the old ones is the visor. It reminded me of that one superhero from the X-Men. Kind of reminded me of it kind of reminded me of that, and I didn't like how it would kind of curve on the edges. I feel like especially when you put a case on it, it kind of looked a little awkward sometimes depending on what case you put. So them doing that switch of having the pill like it does now is huge. It looks much nicer, much more modern, gives a sleeker look, and for those people who like a more aesthetically pleasing phone, this honestly gives iPhone a run for their money.
So it doesn't give iPhone vibes. You think it gives iPhone a run for its money?
I think because iPhone reference money, it is really. I feel like it is one of the best phones for a long-term iPhone user to transition from iPhone to Android because it still gives you a similar feel, but with the Android tech and love from it. You know what I'm saying? So it gives for sure a run for its money, especially
Okay,
because it's cheaper.
yeah, definitely. Um, a lot of people gave criticism to the 9 Pro when they launched it and they saw the design and it became like the flat sides. Like Pixels were known for their curved edges. Like you don't think that the design is too close to an iPhone now, or do you think that that's just the way that these phones are going, that they're just turning out this way and it's just the trend that everybody's getting on?
I think this is the trend that's getting up. Currently, as we're talking about it, I am holding my Pixel 9 Pro XL and my 15 Pro Max, and it doesn't like how you said the Pixel does have that curve, it used to have that curvy feel to it and stuff like that. It still does, especially if you're holding it next to the 15 Pro Max, because the 15 Pro Max is very straight edge. The the contour of the phone is still curvy, but still has that flat side to it, like how you were saying. So it's kind of like it's like a nice little in between of it. So I think it's amazing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Did the design evolve into a way that surprised you, or did it feel like a natural progression from the 8 Pro since you came from the Pixels for a couple years now? I know you had a couple generations of it, and seeing and feeling a difference from them. How did that feel?
So I made the transition. I had the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3 and I transitioned over to the Pixel 7 Pro. From the 7 Pro, I went to the Pixel Fold. From the Pixel Fold, I went to the Pixel 8 Pro, and then from the 8 Pro, now I'm at the 9 Pro XL. And every phone has felt a little bit different to me. I loved the way the 7 Pro felt in my hand. I loved the way that the 8 Pro felt in my hand. I don't know how I feel about the Pixel 9 Pro though. Honestly, for me, the design of it, I wish they would have stuck to the more rounded thing. I wish they would have stuck with the visor. I mean, I don't know. The visor just to me seemed like the selling feature. If I wanted the pill for my camera cutout, I would have stuck with the fold, the original fold, because that's how the original fold's camera was. It was the pill. So
Okay.
I mean, I think that they were just jumping on the bandwagon of trying to get iPhone users over to the Android ecosystem in the Google space. So I think that they just took a piece out of the iPhone book, but put their own twist on it. Because like you commented on, the iPhone has that camera in the top left, top right hand corner, depending on how you're looking at it. And
Yeah.
you can't lay the phone down flat. This one you can. And that's the thing I've loved about all my Pixels is I can lay my phone flat on a desk. I can still do work with it. I can still touch it. I can still use it. And I don't have to worry about it rocking around. I mean, Samsungs, you have to worry about them rocking around because of their cameras too. So, I mean, Google, I think, is the only one that's doing it right this way. So for me, I mean, I'm slightly disappointed in the change in design on the phone, but doesn't mean I'm disappointed in the phone. I still love this phone. Did anything crazy surprise you, either positively or negatively, having come from being an iPhone user for a long time? I mean, let's start with the positive. Like, what is the biggest positive that I guess you were surprised with when you came over here?
Man, I don't even know where to start with that. I don't know if it's the refresh rate. I mean, let's start with this. The camera itself in the beginning, the front piece of camera, I know we'll deep dive into it. It's a million times better. The refresh rate on the Pro XL compared to my old iPhones is a huge game changer. Now, when I grab my spouse's phone and I grab it, or I grab my old iPhone, I look at it and I could tell the difference in the refresh rate. Man, it's huge. Especially another positive thing that I love about it is the openness of the system, so that I can customize it. I love that customizability. You know,
Okay.
I I got tired of the simple apps and you can't do this, you can't customize this or whatnot. I'm a huge customizability person. I like to customize my own things. So the fact that I can do that on this phone is a game changer. And for me, it was huge, even though it's been in the Android realm for a long time already.
Definitely. What is the biggest negative to the phone, do you think?
Man, for the what 2 weeks that I have had this phone,
Yeah, you've
I
had it
would
for
have
about a
to
week and a half now, haven't you? I've had
yeah.
mine for just over 2 weeks, I think. I got it the day of release.
Yeah, that's how I got mine's a week after you. So, okay, he said, I think the biggest thing, honestly, which is gonna kind of sound a little dumb or funny, is the flashlight. I don't like how the flashlight, you can't customize the brightness and whatnot. It's pretty dim, I ain't gonna lie to you. And personally, having a kid at night trying to find a bottle or whatnot and without turning on the lights, it's kind of crucial. You know what I'm saying? I use my flashlight a lot, so I think my biggest downside of the phone would just have to be the flashlight at this very moment. Which I know there are some apps that you can Play Store that you can buy, like download and whatnot, to customize the brightness and whatnot. Supposedly, from what I heard, I haven't looked into it myself, but as of right now, that's the flashlight. Oh, and everything saves to the cloud. Sometimes I like to have it just stored to the system without having to automatically upload to the cloud. Which don't get me wrong, it's good, especially because you never know what's gonna happen to my phone, and I always know my things are gonna be secure. But sometimes having it on my phone and not worrying about being in the cloud is kind of gives me a peace of mind.
Okay, fair enough. Um, I mean, is there anything else that you can really say in comparison to the iPhone? Like, is this a huge step in the right direction for phones by coming over here? Should everybody come over here? Or is this like one of those things where it's like user's discretion is advised? Like, whatever you feel, if you've been an iPhone user for life, you should stick with being an iPhone? Or do you think more people should take the step over to being an iPhone user? Or from being an iPhone user to being, let's say, a Google user or even an Android user, period, with any of the phones in the ecosystem?
So I personally think, and I strongly advise that people switch over from Apple to Android. I mean, don't get me wrong, the ecosystem of the Apple is a great thing with, iCloud connecting to your iPad, iMac, phones, all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's great, it's convenient. But if the thing is Apple hasn't came out with anything new or innovative in years. It's basically a copy and paste of the same thing every year. And now at this point, they're just adding new buttons and buttons and buttons to
We're
the
gonna get into
phone.
that a little bit. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. Trust me. They added the
Yeah.
capture button. Yes, please.
Great, great. I can take a picture on the side of my phone. That's called the volume button. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. I strongly advise that people who want something innovative, creative, and fun, especially because we're carrying the phone everywhere we go. We go to the store, home, we're on it, texting, TikTok, social media, and games on it. All those type of things. We're always on it, and if you always want that customizability, that the convenience of it, and I feel like Android gives it better than iPhone does. I mean, I personally think Apple is more of like, oh, we're just a brand. Like, you have like Louis Vuitton, you have Coach and all that stuff. It's one of those things of just it's the title of it, it's the brand of it, it's the name. Um, yeah, that's what I personally think.
Okay.
Were there any noticeable differences in the overall user experience compared to the A Pro for you?
It's just snappier. It's quicker. It's faster. Everything just feels so much better. And the photos, I mean, the photos and the editing of photos is like, I mean, to me, it just seems like a big difference. It might not seem like it to everybody else, but to me, it just everything feels better with the new and improved AI because everything in Google's photo editing software is all AI based. It uploads it to the cloud. You have the video boost feature. I mean, it everything just feels nicer. And Tensor 4, holy cow, does it feel smooth in comparison to Tensor 2. Most recently, I mean, I had the Pixel Fold and the Pixel 8 Pro both in the same year, and then I just swapped to the 9 Pro XL. And trust me, you can tell a difference between the three Tensor chips. There is a huge difference. So yeah, I think there's a huge noticeable difference in the overall user experience compared to the 8 Pro. I mean, it's way too much to get into. I mean, without having held it or used it yourself, I mean, I could be talking out my butt, but I'm gonna promise you I'm not. Um, let's talk about the camera now. I mean, I know you and I have been hinting at it. You and I have been talking about it since we started today. Uh, Google has always been at the forefront of the smartphone photography, and the Pixel 9 Pro XL seems like it's no exception. What are your thoughts on the camera so far?
Man, when I found out that the front facing camera on the 9 Pro XL is a 48 megapixel wide lens compared to the 12 megapixel front lens of the iPhone, it really just blew it out the water for me. I mean, it's a phenomenal camera. I mean, there's not much you can really say about it compared to the iPhone, especially because 'cause that's where I came from. Um, the front the rear facing camera is also amazing. I know we just came from an apple orchard, maybe a week ago with my family and whatnot, and I actually had the chance to go out there and take pictures with it, experiment with the AI editors, the photos and the processing and everything that the Google Pixel does to the photos. And I will say it is an absolute game changer. It absolutely blew it out the water. I showed my spouse the pictures, and even she admitted that it it's way a million times better than anything that iPhone can do. And she sticks to strictly iPhone. That's all she's ever used. And even she admitted that the camera is out of this world with what it does. I mean, that's as easy as I can put it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, for me, the camera, every iteration of this phones have been just an improvement. That's literally the reason why I swapped from Samsung. I was strictly Samsung for basically my entire life. I never held a phone that was anything other than a Samsung device. And when I got to the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, which tells you when roughly it was, uh, I was just following a lot of tech YouTubers online, and they're like, the 7 Pro is going to be game changer. The 7 Pro is game changer. It came out when it comes to taking photos. And for me, I love to travel in my free time. I even travel for work. I mean, you know that without getting into what we do. I mean, I travel for work. So for me to be able to take photos of all the places around the world and in the United States that I go, for me, taking pictures is like super important just for the memories for myself. So
Right.
when I saw how the 7 Pro's photos compared to the Galaxy Z Fold 3's photos, it's night and day. I was like, I have to switch. I have to switch. Even if the phone is slower on paper when it comes to benchmarks, I have to switch. I'm like, yeah, let me do this. Like that's the most important thing to me, and I have not been disappointed, and I have never wanted to look back since. Now, when I went from the 7 Pro to the Pixel Fold, I was super disappointed in the camera though, dude. The Pixel Fold, they literally put like the Pixel 6 Pros or the Pixel 5s, like XLs cameras on the Pixel Fold, which felt really weird to take a $1,800 phone and slap like 2 generation old cameras on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have the software to work with it, but for me it was just like, man, why am I spending $1,800, $1,900 on a phone to get a horrible camera when I literally came over to the ecosystem for a camera? And
Right.
I missed my Samsung Fold, and I loved the design of the Pixel Fold, being as though the outside looked like an actual regular size of a smartphone. It was that passport size design,
Right.
and I love that. That's why I swapped. But man, was I let down with that camera, which is the big reason why I turned around and jumped right up to the 8 Pro within like 6 to 7 months. I mean,
Right.
that's why I made the big change, because I was like, I need a good camera. Come on. I can't be
Yeah.
carrying an $1,800 paperweight in my pocket. As much as I love the folding phone and the folding design, I need a good camera. And the Fold was not it. And then the 8 Pro, obviously, I'm back to loving it. I was back to loving it. And then for me, it just seemed like the next best thing to jump up to the 9 Pro. And trust me, I was not disappointed with the 48 megapixel cameras that they tossed on this thing, and the new 48 megapixel selfie cam is just gorgeous. The detail of these phones take now.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but beyond that, how has the overall performance been? I mean, how do you feel with the Tensor chip in comparison to the A chip from the iPhone line? Because they've been working on that for a couple generations and refining that. I mean, on paper, benchmarks show that the Tensor chip is like garbage in comparison to both the Snapdragon and the A series chip from iPhone. What do you think of the Tensor chip? I mean, you had the 15 Pro Max, you had the A16 or A17 chip in it. I mean, that's the fastest chip from Apple on the market. How does it feel compared to Tensor?
Well, funny enough, I just looked that up not too long ago, to see the difference in all of them. You're right, the benchmarks ain't there for the Pixel, but it's not even about the benchmarks. The benchmarks, it's more efficient in what it uses. So coming from the A17 chip, which is supposed to, like you said, they're top of the market, the best chip that they have and all that stuff. The Tensor chip actually does 50% better than the A17, which is mind blowing to me because I paid more for my iPhone than I did for my Pixel, which it was absolutely like jaw dropping for me because the performance is a million times better on the Pixel because even though it may seem by the specs that it may not be the best and whatnot, but it really knows how to perform with what it has. Sometimes it's not having the best pieces in it, it's how it's used, and because it has so much AI technology and adapts to the way of life, like the battery, you know, it's mind blowing. Cause man, I'm telling you, like how you said when you first get the 9 Pro XL, that battery drains fast. It does. But once the phone learns your way of life and when you charge it, what you do with it, and how fast you use it, man, I barely charge my phone. I haven't charged my phone and honestly like an actual charge in 2 days. I have topped it off here and there when I'm driving because I plug it into my car, but that is it. Other than that, I am currently sitting at 75%, and I have not dropped below 50% in the past like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's nuts. And you mentioned about training the battery. Give me a little bit of rundown on how that felt for you, because I know I gave you some warning before with that. I told you that the battery is gonna be pretty bad when you first get your phone, didn't I?
yeah. But so the funny thing is about it, when I first got the phone, yeah, it was draining really fast. I would get out of work, you know, I'm doing my 8 hour shift and it'll be like at 40% and whatnot. I'll be like, damn, I barely use this, that type of thing. But it drained fast, yes. But the crazy part is, it still did better than an iPhone after a new iPhone releases.
Really? That
Yeah,
surprises me. Okay.
because when you get it, when the new iPhone releases and the battery gets old and whatnot, this thing drains fast. I remember I had my 15 Pro Max, which is the newest one before the 16 Pro, the 16 series even was released or whatnot. This was the most recent phone, and 3 weeks ago I was charging my phone 2 3 times a day just to keep it
Holy
up.
cow.
It's a huge difference. I mean, the bigger battery helps on the Pixel, but the AI training the battery on the Pixel was a huge game changer compared to coming from the iPhone. So at first, when yeah, it was draining pretty fast, it didn't alarm me because I knew it was what it was doing because you gave me that heads up, which I appreciated. But once it trained itself within a week and a half, it was done for. Man, I sometimes forget where I put my charger because I don't use it that much.
Okay, so let me give the guys a rundown in the audience here about what you keep saying training. So the Pixels have this weird thing where I guess it's not weird, it's actually smart. It's super innovative because I don't know any other phone company that necessarily does this, but you train your battery when you first get it. Within the first week of owning a Pixel phone, I do not use Wi-Fi on it. I keep it strictly over mobile data, and I basically run that thing from 100 to 0 for the first week to week and a half of owning. Why? Because I'm training it in the worst case scenario, and I want it to optimize my battery utilization based off of my average day to day on my week so that it can optimize and save battery power when and where possible. So for me having a pretty consistent schedule, you having a pretty consistent schedule, the phone learns really quick, okay, he's not going to be using his phone from X time to X time. So for that, we can put it into like a battery saver mode. He'll still get his notifications, but we know that he's not going to pull his phone out, aside from maybe the slight pull out to respond to a text message or something. So that's what he means by training it. And trust me, your first week is going to suck with a Pixel. But after that, God, like you said, I get like 12 to 13 hours of screen on time before I really truly have to charge it. I mean, I think when my phone is fully charged, I think it says I have a day and 4 hours left on it. That's crazy. I've not heard a phone that says you have a day and 4 hours left of utilization where I'm watching Netflix, where I'm watching YouTube, where I'm doing things that require battery draw. How am I getting a day and 4 hours out of it?
It's crazy how you say that because I'm looking at mine right now with only like 70%. My phone will die tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Yeah,
if I consistently use it.
I'm
Like,
at 86 right now, and it says mine is going to die at this time tomorrow.
it's crazy. It's awesome.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so for me, coming from obviously I said I had all these old Pixel phones. I had the Pixel 7, I had the Pixel 7 the Pixel 7 Pro, the Pixel Fold, the Pixel 8. Obviously, those had two different iterations of Tensor as well as this new iteration of Tensor, which is Tensor 4. So the Pixel 7 and the Pixel Fold both had Tensor 2. The Tensor 2 felt great on the 7 Pro, but it's a slab phone. It's also a year older than the Pixel Fold. The Pixel Fold really needed Tensor 3, but they didn't get it, and I don't understand why Google didn't release the Pixel Fold with Tensor 3 other than maybe the Pixel Fold was a delayed launch and it was supposed to launch with the Pixel 7 line, but it didn't, and for some reason it launched closer to the Pixel 8 line, which is what left everybody wondering why it didn't get Tensor 3. But you can just tell the Pixel Fold felt a little bit slower than it should have, which was another downside to me, but it was something that I was willing to work with and I was living with. It didn't bother me too bad, but trust me, you could tell the difference. And jumping from Tensor 2 to Tensor 3 on the Pixel 8 Pro, holy cow, game changer. And then jumping from Tensor 3 to Tensor 4, you can truly tell the difference between those. Oh my God.
And that's the beauty of it. Is like with the Tensor series, like that line of like processors for the phone, there's actually a significant difference. Unlike the A chips for iPhone, it's basically not giving you much of a difference at all. I mean, I honestly feel like they're just slapping a new number on it every single year and not seeing an actual difference.
I mean that I can't truly speak on the A series chips. I mean, I've only owned two iPhones, and the only reason I own them is because they were work phones. I had the iPhone 13, and then I had the iPhone 15 because my work gave them to me, and that's what we have to use. So I mean, but I'm using it for strictly work tasks, which is literally just browsing our work website. So for me, I don't really get to experience what the A chip has to offer. I mean, the ecosystem is pretty locked down for us for security reasons. So I can't really speak on the A chip. But how do you think this phone handles gaming in comparison to like the iPhone?
Man, it's crazy to say, but they said the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Cause I'm a gamer. I love playing video games. If it's on my PC, my PlayStation, the Xbox, on my phone, whatever it may be. So they kept saying the 15 Pro Max was supposedly the huge like game changer, revolutionary for performance on a phone for gaming. Man, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but the way that the Pixel handles gaming, the same games I played on there, it felt much smoother. The 122 hertz, like I keep saying, it made a big difference. It handles gaming really well. It's pretty smooth for me. I enjoy it a lot. I haven't had any issues with it, and I've played a couple games on there already.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, I'm not much of a gamer on my phone. Obviously, I have a gaming PC at home, so I mean, I don't really game too much out in public. I use my phone more for like watching Netflix, watching YouTube, consuming content while I'm out on the road. Um, is there any software features that you think stand out to you?
The AI, the
The
AI,
AI?
the AI, and the AI. Man, when I tell you this AI comes in handy for so many things, it is astonishing. I mean, Siri was great. Don't get me wrong. I have my phone with Siri, but it doesn't do the same amount of things that Gemini does and Google Assistant does. I mean, being able to just say, "Hey Google," and in my car or anywhere else, and they actually respond to me and feel like I'm actually having a conversation with them or whatnot. Like the software for that is absolutely phenomenal. I, I, I wouldn't even know what to say bad about it because for me, it's like the best thing I've ever seen.
Have you tried any of the live conversation feature with Gemini?
Oh man, when I'm bored, sometimes I just have a conversation with Gemini
It's
and come up with the randomest ideas.
it literally is like talking to a human being, right?
It's astonishing and how smooth, how good, how fast it is to respond to you, how innovative it is, and it doesn't sound robotic at all. It actually sounds like a human being is on the other side of the phone.
Has there been any big like issues or bugs that you've stumbled upon since owning a Pixel? Because that's what a lot of people claim is like Pixel's biggest thing is like, oh, they've got these game-changing breaking issues or bugs or like this is why I'm never going to go to a Pixel. I mean, have you encountered any? I mean, you've had it for what, a week and a half, going on 2 weeks now. Have you stumbled upon any?
I have only stumbled upon maybe one or two, but it wasn't like major things. I mean, the biggest thing was is I wasn't getting my notifications from Snapchat. It wouldn't ring or anything like that, and it just appear. Uh, that was just a simple fix on Snapchat app, so I'm pretty sure that wasn't the phone itself. But other than that, I mean, I haven't had any problems or bugs with the phone itself. I mean, other than like the tap to wake up once in a while won't work. I mean, but those are like small things that I really don't care about. I mean, have you had any problems with it? I mean, coming from supposedly Pixel being notorious with these bugs.
I have in the past, but that's a mix between me running beta software on my phones and a couple other things. I mean, I did have an issue when I first got this phone out of the box. I did the initial update on it, and for some reason, the widget and the weather app was still reverting to the old weather, which was on like the Pixel 8 Pro, which hasn't been updated to this new AI weather app that's on the Pixel 9. It kept reverting back, and if I wanted to use the new weather app with the AI features, I would literally have to go through and use the new Pixel weather app. And at one point, I think I even had two weather apps on my phone. It was really weird. But since the September patch came out, they've since done away with it, and it literally patched it like a week later. I mean, I think that patch came out like mid last week, and it fixed that. Other than that, I have experienced those occasional like not waking when you tap it, but that that's not like a game changer for me. I mean, I also have wake up when you pick up on, which is another like feature of the phone. So you pick the phone up and the screen will turn on. So I mean, tapping it isn't be all end all. It's just nicer when you have it on your desk.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the now listening feature? Have you used it at all, or have you noticed it?
By the now listening feature, are you talking about the music part or?
Yeah, the thing on your lock screen, like when there's music playing in the background and it tells you exactly what song's playing. It's like Shazam built into your phone. Have you used it at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, first off, I had to switch from Apple Music to Spotify, so I had to manually switch over every single song. So not having to Shazam every single song because it automatically does it for me, and I could just simply click or look it up and then put it into my Spotify, put it into my playlist. It's really convenient, you know.
While the Pixel 9 Pro XL has a lot going for it, no phone is perfect. Are there any areas where you think Google could have done better with this?
I would have to say it would just mainly be the cloud, uploading and stuff like that. Like how I said earlier, it is great and convenient because I don't have to go in there and wait for it to upload and be on the app or whatnot. You know, have to close it out and worry about it. It automatically does it, but I do wish that I could still have where it's separate from my system and my cloud. That way, I can have that convenience and not having deleted from both.
Fair
But
enough.
other than that, I haven't really had any problems or things that they can really upgrade for. I mean, then again, this is my first Android device, so everything about it is basically perfect. Ask me maybe in a month or so, and then maybe I have a different answer for that. But for you, what do you think they can do to improve it? Coming from an Android and having this Pixel series since the beginning, and them changing things. What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, overall, aside from the physical design of the phone, I think they're doing a great job. Honestly, I don't see anything better. I mean, if I wasn't happy, that I switch phones like the leaves fall off trees. Um,
Yep.
for me, like for me to be content and happy, I mean, obviously that might just be for the moment because there's nothing new, nothing out that I want, but I'm like I'm happy. I, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it is close to perfect, if not perfect. But yeah, that's that for me. Are there any features that you feel are missing from like the Android phone? I guess coming from an iPhone, like does the phone feel incomplete because it doesn't have X feature or Y feature from like iPhone?
There isn't really much that I would like to bring over from the iPhone. I mean, they're still behind on everything. I mean, they're barely getting, half the things that Android has had for years. The only thing that I feel like would be missing would have to be, honestly, I don't know. I think, I mean, I'm looking at my phone right now, trying to see if I can find something that's wrong with it, something that feels incomplete. But ultimately, I think it's very well developed and made. There's not really much that I would have to complain about the phone or whatnot.
And obviously, we touched on this a little bit earlier. I mean, you had the week of hell training your battery. I mean, does the battery life now meet your expectations? I mean, I know you said you were happy with it, but does it is it the be all end all that you wanted from the battery? Is it what you were expecting? Did it live up to its hype?
It far exceeded it, much, much farther exceeded my expectations of what it is. The fact that I don't have to charge my phone for days is huge. I mean, I hate having to charge my phone in the first place, all the time because I can sit down on the couch, maybe watch an hour on my phone of like Netflix or one. I don't have to charge it with my iPhone. It'll be down to 20% from 100 with like what episode, you know. So seeing this big change and not having to charge it so often, it far surpassed my expectations of what the battery would be like. And I only know that because it's doing so well and the AI is only growing stronger and Google seems to be leading the force with AI, I know it's gonna get better and it's just gonna get a million times more fun.
How do you think the Pixel 9 Pro XL stacks up against its competition? Will it be enough to sway people away from iPhones or Samsung Galaxy devices? I mean, like, I it's hard to say whether or not it's going to, but don't you? How do you feel?
I think in a perfect world, if people actually didn't stick with, the brand names, the Apple logo, or the Samsung logo, I feel like it really comes and surpasses just the phones as of right now, especially with everything that brings in. It brings in a whole aspect, a whole different aspect to the tech world, especially for mobile phones and what we have. I mean, a lot of people rely on the laptops, iPads, and stuff like that too. But I mean, you can basically have that on your phone, the Google Pixel, especially on the Fold, because it basically becomes a mini tablet.
Well, what do you think about Android 16's new like mounting software? Did you see that? Where you can actually plug your phone into a keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and it becomes a desktop computer?
I didn't hear about that, but that is pretty
Oh,
cool.
so Samsung's been doing it for a while. They call it DeX, right? I think I showed you a video of it at one point. Um, but Pixel is finally doing it. That was a Samsung exclusive feature that iPhones didn't do and Google's didn't do. But now in Android 16, Google took their stab at it and it looks promising.
What's the beauty of it? It's the fact now you're combining some of the great features of Samsung and the Pixel. It's gonna make it a super phone at the end of the day. I feel like, and yeah, people make fun of the Pixel because it isn't these like the big two competitors of Samsung and Apple. But bringing those cool features in from Samsung, which is always innovative with new things. I'm not gonna lie. They have their great. They have the great things that they do, and bringing that feature specifically you're talking about to the phone, I feel like it's gonna be huge, especially with the AI capabilities that you have already.
Nice, nice. What's the Pixel 9 Pro's XL's biggest strength against its rivals?
It has to be the AI, the adaptability, and it's convenient. It's more user friendly. It works more towards, instead of just being, hey, it's a phone I pick out of my pocket, text a call. It's more of a phone that I use for my lifestyle. It adjusts to my lifestyle. It adjusts to me and who I am as a person. Because trust me, we don't have the same schedules. We don't have the same life. So charging, convenience, and what we need, and having that adaptability with the phone itself is a huge plus, especially for people whose days are, chaotic or whatnot. Having the Pixel makes it much more convenient than any other phone, I feel like.
How do you feel about the caller ID, spam protection, and the call screening features that are on the Pixel phones?
Man, if I had to tell you the amount of times I had Google Assistant answer my phone calls, I don't think I rarely ever actually answer my phone until I see who it is from the phone transcribing the call for me.
That's
It's
awesome, right?
It is amazing. I kid you not. When I'm on the phone with the bank or the school, whatever it may be, and it's on hold for me, it'll hold the phone for me and let me know when they're back. So I don't have to be sitting here listening to that music all day long for
It's
hours on
great.
end. It is amazing. And then when people call me, I don't know who it is, and I have Google Assistant answer for me. It is huge because now I don't have to sit there and be in that awkward position of, hey, yo, like, who are you? What do you want? It's now Google Assistant does it for me. And it gives me responses based off what they say too, which is huge. So it's not just a set of responses that I'm limited to.
Have you used call notes at all?
Oh yeah, all the time. When it comes to important phone calls, like I had one for my financial aid for school. I transcribed all of it because they have people have you write things down. Nah, I did that, and all my notes are there. I don't have to do anything. It's all at ease and a press of a button.
Oh, see, I haven't quite used call notes yet. I've literally used every feature but call notes because I haven't had to take a phone call like that. But I know the first time that I do, the first time I have to call the bank or talk to them about something, because it's inevitable, it's going to happen at some point. I'm definitely hands down going to use that feature because trust me, it advertises it when you're talking on the phone. Like, hey, do you want to record this call using call notes? Do you want us to transcribe what you guys talked about? But half the time, it's a conversation with my mom or my girlfriend or whatever. So it's like, no, I don't need it transcribed. But man, it's crazy. What do you think the 9 Pro XL's weakness is compared to its rivals?
It is ahead of its generation. It's ahead of its game. So because no other phone has this like AI capabilities and this adaptability, I mean, it is ahead of the lead. It's awesome, but obviously it's now heading into uncharted territory. You never know what's gonna happen. The next update might screw things over and certain things you never know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think one of the best things that Apple does is it's taking so long to upgrade things. They know it's gonna be okay when they launch it. You know?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could see that. But, with that being said, let me play devil advocate here. Devil's advocate says, well, just roll the update back. I mean, you're on an Android. You can literally load up Android 7 right now on our phones if you wanted to.
Wait, we can.
Yeah.
Oh damn! You see, I didn't even know that.
So with I get your point, why not roll back?
Right.
If the update breaks it. So does that really make it a weakness?
I don't know.
But again, I'm just playing devil advocate here. I'm strictly an Android user. I've been strictly an Android user slash a Pixel user for forever now. But I that it sounds like a weakness, yes, coming from the outside. Trust me, I hear what you're saying because they're leading the way into this uncharted territory with AI because they're the ones who are taking the steps first, which would make it a weakness. But like, just roll back. I mean, simple fix.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. You brought up a good point.
Who do you think that this phone is best suited for?
It is best suited for any person who has a life that is not normal, I would have to say, especially for active people. I mean, the adaptability to the phone to the person is something that is crucial for a lot of people. People who travel, business people, those people who want to be creative, those type of things where you can't charge your phone as often. For the people that need something different, the ability to customize it or the AI features. You never know. I feel like it's suited for a lot of people, and it's more suited, and it's better suited for everyone compared to like Samsung or iPhone.
Okay. All right. Um, how do you see the smartphone landscape evolving in the coming years? Are we going to lead more towards AI, or what do you think the next big change is? Like, where do you see this ecosystem going?
I see this ecosystem, really going towards AI. I mean, that's one of the biggest things we've talked about, in this episode and whatnot. And also, obviously, that's what Pixel's really pushing for with this 9 Pro XL. I feel like having these AI features, especially for the phones that are coming in the future, it's really gonna push towards things because everything's going into tech, everything's going to AI. I mean, our phones, driving Teslas, that type of stuff. Like all of that is going to artificial intelligence. It's that's really where it's evolving towards.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's take a change of pace here and like let's go towards the iPhone a little bit. Obviously, we've been talking and praising this Pixel obviously since the beginning of the episode, and I know that's really what it is, but there's some huge news. I mean, obviously, the Pixel 9 Pro only came out what 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I mean, and we get the Pixel, or sorry, not the Pixel, the iPhone 16 launch information 2 weeks after the Pixel launches. I mean,
yeah.
let's get into some of that. I mean, it was leak information that I had written down here for us to like glance at, but now it's announced. I went back and verified everything I wrote. It's all announced, and I added a couple extra notes. I mean, some of the leaked slash now announced specs for the iPhone 16 Pro Max are strikingly similar to the recently released Pixel 9 Pro XL. I mean, both phones now boast a 3000 nit peak brightness on their screen. Both got increasingly larger batteries. I mean, sounds like a copy to me, but hey, what do I know? Apple's adding a new capture button, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and they're boosting their charging speed to 40 watts, which literally just sounded like they're trying to compete with Google, who just boosted theirs to 37, but it sounds like they just wanted to push the edge over, but hey, that's just me. It's not hard to really notice the big differences in the announcements slash leaks for the 16 series that they're pretty similar to the Pixel. I mean, hey, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is also rumored to have thinner bezels, which Pixel announced as well, a larger display by zero point 0.1 of an inch, which Google did the same thing, Wi-Fi 7 support, and now they're adding a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. I mean, all these features we've seen Google implement in their latest flagship. It certainly raises the question, is Google taking inspiration from Apple, or is this just a case of great minds are thinking alike, or is this the other way around that Google made it to the market first and Apple said, hey, we need those features too? I mean, coming from an iPhone 15 Pro Max with 2,000 nits of peak brightness, what do you really think that they needed the 3,000 nits, or do you think that this is going to ruin the battery faster?
I mean, it's gonna run the battery. It's gonna run the battery faster, and it's already obviously like we said the battery runs fast anyway. I honestly feel like it's kind of like a copy and paste with a little different touch to it that Apple did. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I
Okay.
mean, they've had so many chances to do these changes for years already to be the front facing evolutionary in phones and whatnot, but they always seem to just be behind Samsung, Pixel, and all these Android devices. I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? Can I copy off of you? What can I do? I know I'm 5 years behind. That type of thing.
So, also coming from an iPhone 15 Pro Max at 25-watt max charging speeds, what do you think of the 37 that we have on our 9 Pro XLs, and what do you think? What's your opinion on going up to the 40 watts now on the 16 Pro Max?
I think it'll be a good step forward. I mean, you're charging your phone so often with an iPhone. I mean, it'd be good to charge it a little faster so you don't have to be sitting there and waiting for your phone to charge as much.
Do you
I
notice a
mean,
charging difference between the 15 Pro Max and your Pixel Fold?
oh yeah, absolutely. It's a huge game changer. It charges much faster.
Okay. And what's your opinion on the iPhone 15 Pro Max's 6.8-inch display versus the new 16 Pro Max at the 6.9?
Man, I can barely tell the difference. I mean, I will say though, looking at I obviously looked at the conference on one day unveiled it and whatnot, looked at a couple of videos and whatnot. I mean, it does look like the bezels are smaller. It is now thinner. The edges around it is much thinner. I will say, yeah, that's great. So maybe you gain a little bit more screen out of it. But for me, that dynamic island on top is just like it's just why. It's not really needed. It doesn't have to be
You
that big.
got used to the hole punch already. I love it. You got used to
Yeah,
the hole punch.
I like the hole punch. It gives me more screen. It gives me more inside my little rectangular of a screen already.
Exactly. So, what's your opinion of the 16 Pro Max? Well, basically the whole 16 series line in general launching without Apple AI. They're launching with iOS 18, but not the AI features.
So it's crazy. There's a lot that came out of that conference that really kind of surprised me. Well, like how you're saying the AI, they really announced the AI. Say, hey, we have this whole, Apple Intelligence. They're gonna redefine the name of AI and call it Apple Intelligence and all that stuff. But they don't even have anything open. I mean, the crazy part is the AI that they're gonna be having on the phone isn't even Apple Intelligence. It's Open AI until they can actually figure out their own AI intelligence. Um, there's a lot of other features that on top of my head I can't remember precisely of like they have ready for the phone to be released or even in their watches and whatnot, yet it's not going to be available immediately. I mean, in all honesty, they could have written all the things that they are upgrading to the phone in an email and called it a day. They didn't really need a whole conference for it.
True. True. Do you think it's a big game changer that iPhone 15 Pro Max with a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera is now getting upgraded to a 48 megapixel, or do you think this is just a copy to try to get up with the rest of the smartphones that are their competition?
I think it's a copy, and that's really kind of like they're just trying to catch up. So I feel like they're really trying to just push for it. I know when I first came into the iPhone, one of the big reasons I changed over is because the camera quality. Years ago, iPhone cameras were one of the best cameras that you can get. I mean, they were. As you saw, the Pixel, it really gives a run for its money. It really shows that Apple really fell behind the thing that they were really known for before. I mean,
Exactly.
they were never known for their software or anything. They were known for the cameras. I mean, they really fell short for the past couple of years with it. So I'm pretty sure this right now is kind of a copy and paste of what is out there right now. Kind of like, hey guys, we're still here. We still got this kind of thing.
All right, now this is the most controversial thing I've seen out there, and this makes me laugh every time I see it. The freaking camera button on the side that feels so weird. Like, why do we need this? That it's like a touch. It's like a touchpad from a laptop on the side of your phone to take pictures, and it's not even in like a convenient spot. It's at like the bottom of the right hand side of the phone. Like, why? They just implemented the action button on the 15s. Well, why do we need the action button and now this capture button? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Honestly, I couldn't even answer that myself. I know when I have this is the crazy part. So I'm a fat finger person. I have a fat hand. I mean, I'll be touching it, especially the spot they put it. It's really gonna screw with you. I'm really curious to see how cases are gonna work now, because now that it's touch activated, like how are phone cases gonna work? That's my
Exactly.
that's one of my questions. Secondly, my other question is, when you're touching your phone, you're grabbing your phone, you're grabbing the sides of your phone, right? I mean, your hand, your palm is gonna touch that button. Are you just automatically start going into the camera at that point? Are you gonna start snapping pictures? You know, that type of thing.
I mean,
I
I
feel
don't
as
know
though
about you, but when I hold my phone, and I hold my phone in my right hand, the pad of my hand is gonna cover where that capture thing is. Am I gonna
exactly,
accidentally open up the camera? Am I gonna accidentally
exactly,
do like take a picture? Like, it's not my intention, obviously, but like, is that gonna accidentally happen?
I
Or does
feel
it
like there's.
intentionally have to be your finger? Is it gonna look for a fingerprint?
I mean, I can see that, and I feel like that would be a little bit of a better thing that it should be doing. I mean, but my ultimate thing is, why are you adding more buttons to a phone that you already have too many buttons for? I mean, the Pixel has what, three
Three
buttons
buttons.
and
Three
has
buttons.
all it needs. I mean, this action button, great, you have an action button, but that's the crazy part. You can snap a picture with your volume button. You can cut. You can program your action button to take pictures for you. I mean, you
Exactly.
can make it's one of those things of like, you already have all these other options. You don't need to make a specific picture button for it. Like, I get you're trying to go back to being like the best camera, the best camera phone out there, but they're really pushing for the wrong thing.
Um, what do you think about the A18 Pro chip being in the 16 Pro and Pro Max? I mean, like,
So
now across the board for the iPhone 16, they're all going to have the A18 chip. The iPhone 16 and 16 Plus is going to be A18, and then the Pro and the Pro Max are going to be A18 Pro. I mean, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus had the A16, and then the 15 Pro Max and the 15 Pro had the A17. I mean, there was two different generations of CPUs in those iPhones. What do you think about the new jump forward and basically having the same CPU in all four of their phones?
I feel like it's about time they actually do that. I mean, I was aware that the Pro series on the iPhones always had the newer CPU for, their phones, which I kind of find a little dumb. Why they didn't have it to give it to everybody. I mean, it's their marketing way, I guess, to promote the top sellers. But now every phone having the A18 processor, I mean, it's good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It kind of helps people to get the cheaper phone while still having that good quality that they want. But there's not really much that's there. I was looking at it. I mean, they give them 20% more, like that,
Well,
but it
I actually
wasn't
have all
like.
the specs written down. The CPU claims to be 30% faster. The GPU's apparently 40% faster, and it's 100% faster on machine learning. But great, those things are great. I mean, a faster CPU, a faster GPU, great. I mean, but these are numbers that are contrived from a company. I mean, if you know anything about Nvidia, they and AMD, they talk out their butt when it comes to increase in performance. I mean, we need to get these phones in real world hands before we can say 30, 40% improvement, because it never is that.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, it's like half of that. And great, you're doing 100% faster on machine learning, which means sounds like great AI features are going to get faster by 100%. But if you're not launching the phone with Apple AI, what does the faster machine learning do for you?
what does it learn? There's nothing for it to learn.
Yeah, like it's not going to improve. And I mean, great, you're going to buy the phone for potential future features, but I care about my phone having the features on launch. I mean, that's just me. The Pixel 9 Pro came out with all the features that they claimed for it to have on launch. Now,
I
granted, my
mean,
8 Pro didn't get all those features yet, but it's because they're giving it to the 9 Pro first.
yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to think that you're buying an upgrade phone for the new specs and the new everything, but you would assume you get day one. I mean, that's just my thought. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm trying to get a new car. I'm not waiting for the tires in 2 weeks.
So now here's another controversial thing because I know you keep talking about that 120 hertz. The 16 and the 16 Plus are being launched with 60 hertz displays in 2024, while the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max are being launched with 120.
I'm surprised you're still on it. Honestly, it's one of those things that like I would have thought they changed a long time ago, especially because they're focusing on the 15 Pro Max being like gamer friendly and whatnot. I mean, 60 hertz. I mean, I had my monitors aren't even that when I first got my built my PC, those type of things. I mean, the fact that they still have that 60 hertz, really like, what are you doing at this point?
Exactly. I mean, I'm glad that they took the step forward with the 120 on the Pro and the Pro Max, but like, come on, 60 hertz in 2024? Even cheap Samsungs, the A series, have 120 hertz.
Yeah,
Like, you can get a $300 phone that has 120 hertz on it. Why are we spending $1,000 on a phone in 2024 that has 60 hertz?
yeah, I agree.
I don't know, but that's just my thought. And there's a selling feature is Wi-Fi 7. I mean, like, is that actually necessary when most homes Wi-Fi isn't equipped past Wi-Fi 6/Wi-Fi 6E? I mean, like, should this really be a selling point? Like, are you gonna go out and buy a phone because it's got Wi-Fi 7 in it?
Man, I barely connect my phone to the Wi-Fi. Is the reason why I got unlimited data.
Well, I get that, but I mean, like, realistically, I mean,
It's
let's
just
be honest. Should this be a selling point? Do we
no,
need
it really,
Wi-Fi 7?
it really isn't. I mean, it's one of those things that's great to have. Great to know that you have it, but no one really focusing on that, especially because I mean, you're still gonna have that great connection even if you're on Wi-Fi 6. You know,
Exactly. My house, I mean, I'm a tech head. My house has Wi-Fi 6 because Xfinity doesn't offer Wi-Fi 7. And I don't run my own router to get Wi-Fi 7, which I could, and yeah, my house could have it, but that's extra money on my pocket. Wi-Fi 6 is more than enough for my house. I mean,
right?
but that's just me. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a selling point to me. I mean, you don't hear Google. I mean, I don't know what Google has, if it's a Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7 in their phones, because I really don't care. I mean, as long as it's not Wi-Fi 5, which I don't think it has. It either has 6, 6E, or 7. But like,
Yeah, it's not the
they're
selling point.
they're not. You're not using it as a selling point.
Exactly.
Google, or I'm sorry, iPhone is. Like, why? Of all things, why?
Because they have nothing else to give.
Exactly. I don't know. But that pretty much wraps things up here on our Pixel 9 Pro XL's deep dive. Google definitely raised the bar for the flagship phones, but the tech world never stands still, and we're eager to see how it measures up against the rumored, now announced iPhone 16, and what other surprises the tech world has in store. And as always, subscribe to the Upgrade Cycle for your latest in tech news, reviews, and analysis. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.